It's officially December and Christmas is right around the corner, and there are a few things I want for Christmas. I want the Niners to put the dagger in the Seahawks and end their season on Sunday. I want the Niners to make it into the playoffs because it's great for the fan base and great for the channel. I also want to see the 49ers Report continue to dominate Seattle Seahawks today in subscribers here at Chat Sports. So if you want free daily videos and the best 49ers coverage here on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button down below, and let's dominate Seattle. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. We have a loaded show coming your way on today's show, but first, shout out to today's sponsor, Manscaped, for making the 49ers Report possible. You can get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products by going to manscaped.com/49ers. Everybody's wondering what their loved ones and what their friends want during the holiday season. Manscaped, the perfect gift. We'll tell you more about that coming up. We start off today's show with getting into the latest on Frank Gore. And is Gore going to come back to the Niners? Potentially, but maybe not on the field. Yeah, that's right. Listen very closely. So Frank Gore was on Good Morning Football on NFL Network this morning and said pretty much, I'm done playing football unless a team calls me during Super Bowl week, but did say he wants to return to the 49ers as a front office executive. Peter Schrager doing a great job on Good Morning Football, interact with him a lot on Twitter. Very good dude. Saying this as he was talking to Frank Gore on the show this morning, Frank Gore tells us on Good Morning Football that he is not returning to the NFL under any conditions, unless it's the week of the Super Bowl. The week of the Super Bowl, he'd come back, and yes, he can still play. As for what's next for Frank Gore, if he doesn't return to a team, maybe even the Niners, if they make a run at the Lombardi Trophy over the next 5-10 years for Gore, quote, I want to be in the front office with the San Francisco 49ers. I have a good relationship with the owner, with Parag, with the team. Frank Gore wanting to next be a front office executive, which is commonplace in the NFL among a lot of former players. John Lynch, the general manager for this franchise right now, Hall of Fame safety. Frank Gore most likely going to be a Hall of Fame running back. John Lynch went into the front office role after being in the broadcast booth. Maybe that is the future for Frank Gore after he kicks the ass of Darren Williams in the boxing ring. Frank Gore had a tremendous career with the San Francisco 49ers, and really his career spanned nearly 2 decades. My guy here at Chat Sports, Marshall Green, with the defamatory statement of saying that Frank Gore is not a Hall of Famer. Look, that's just blasphemy. Frank Gore is 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards for his career behind Emmitt Smith and sweetness Walter Payton, ahead of Hall of Famer Barry Sanders, who a lot of people say is the best running back of all time, and Adrian Peterson, who actually might sign with the Seattle Seahawks prior to Sunday's game. Gore, for multiple reasons, in my opinion, is a bona fide Hall of Famer. He was with the 49ers for a decade. He ran for 1,000 or more yards in 8 of those 10 seasons, and then he went on to have successful stints with the Indianapolis Colts, the Buffalo Bills, and last year with the New York Jets. So for producer Marshall, who's one of my best friends here at Chat Sports, to say that Frank Gore is not a future Hall of Famer, absolutely ridiculous. You know who is ahead of Marshall in my friends' power rankings here at Chat Sports? Producer Jeremy Chuggs, who's in my ear telling Marshall to suck it. Amen to that. Gore is a Hall of Famer, and he's going to go into Canton as a Hall of Famer, rocking that brown jacket as a 49er, and maybe he contributes to this franchise in the future as a front office executive. So would you like to see Gore come back to the Bay Area and rejoin the 49ers in the front office? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section down below. To the Seattle Seahawks and the team that the 49ers are going to be matching up against on Sunday, they have to win this game. First of all, the Seahawks are an awful football team. They're free-falling, and I think we could be seeing the end of the Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll dynamic. So Russ's worst record in his NFL career, no worse than 9-7. And it looks as though the Seahawks are on a path to have a losing season for the first time since he got drafted by Seattle. And if you remember during the offseason, we talked about it the other day here on the channel, Russell Wilson was very discouraged, very frustrated this offseason with the direction of the franchise, the parts that have been on that offense to surround him, and really the entire offensive dynamic. And It would be my guess that it hasn't been made any better with how the Seahawks have been playing this year, the play of Russ, and everything that's going on with that franchise right now. They are a mess, which is yet another reason why the 49ers have to officially end their season on Sunday, because it'll also help their playoff chances dramatically. Now, ESPN's Dan Graziano thinks that this could be the end of Russell Wilson in Seattle, which is what I echoed the other day. He said this, quote, in a recent report, his agent gave a list of teams that he would accept a trade to this offseason. Some of those teams still need a quarterback. The Seahawks are 3-8. This is not something that has happened in Russell Wilson's career, this kind of losing. He was already dissatisfied on some level during the offseason. They managed to put it behind them, but it's only going to come up again. As for the teams that were on Russell Wilson's list to get traded to this offseason, when there were some rumblings about him requesting a trade at the time, Dallas, Las Vegas Raiders, the New Orleans Saints, and the Chicago Bears. Now, Russell Wilson has a no-trade clause in his contract, so he would have to approve a trade to another franchise if things continue to get contentious and he wants to be sent out and packing from Seattle. Adam Schefter throwing another team in the mix to that grouping that we just listed. How about the Philadelphia Eagles? They have a bevy of draft capital and draft picks next year. They're not sure about the future of Jalen Hurts and if he is the future quarterback of this franchise, and it would make sense for the direction of that franchise if Jalen Hurts isn't the answer to maybe pull the trigger on Russ. They especially have the draft capital to entice Seattle if they do want to send him away. Adam Schefter on 97.5 The Fanatic in Philly saying this, I believe that Russell Wilson would waive his no-trade clause to go to Philadelphia. Something's not right there in Seattle. Anybody that watches them knows that. He's flailing right now. He's been struggling for the better part of the year, and I'm sure the finger is a part of it. But that can't explain everything, and maybe some of it has to do with the fact that Seattle just doesn't have a run game. Good luck to the quarterback trying to make do without a running game at all. And it's pretty funny because Russ was frustrated that offense with Pete Carroll was more leaning in a run-heavy direction. Last couple of seasons, last couple of off-seasons, Russell Wilson has made it be known, I want the ball in my hands, I want to be able to sling it more often, and our offensive direction is very, very confounding. What I do know about Russ right now, he looks awful. I think he came back way too early coming off that finger surgery. On Monday Night Football against the Washington football team, not only was he missing throws high, throwing balls into the ground, killing worms, he wasn't even going through his reads. And the Seahawks offense didn't even rush for 40 yards. All of the pressure is on Russ right now. He looks to be frustrated with his current situation. His game isn't up to snuff. He's not playing at an MVP caliber level like he did last year. And all of the surrounding parts around him, from the coaching staff to the offense to the defense, looks terrible. Another reason why the 49ers cannot lose this game on Sunday. Prediction time for the Niner gang right now. And honestly, let's continue to talk about this in hopes that Russ doesn't play for the Seahawks anymore, because he's really owned the 49ers over the last several years. Will Russ be in Seattle next year? Type S for Seahawks, type O for another team. Predict Russ's future right now in the comment section. It's the holiday season. Hanukkah is here. Christmas is right around the corner. And it's funny. I have a bunch of friends and family members reach out to me every year, and they're like, Chase, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm like, I don't know. But then when you think about it, you want gifts that, one, have thought, and two, will last you a while, and you'll use them a lot over time. That is Manscaped in a nutshell. The best men's grooming product tools out there on the open market right now, and the official men's grooming product sponsor of the San Francisco 49ers. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a terrific gift, as is the perfect package. And right now you can get 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com/49ers. The Lawnmower 4.0, 4 interchangeable blades, a battery life that lasts forever, safeguard technology so you don't get cut up if you're trying to trim down the nether region, your chest hair, your back hair, depending on if you're a hairy cat. And the perfect package, you get a free pair of the comfiest boxers you'll ever have, the Lawnmower 4.0, ball deodorant, ball toner. Hey, it's the great deal for a holiday season for yourself or a loved one. So go to manscaped.com/49ers, enter the promo code 49ers. You get 20% off and free shipping. Yes, the Niners are in the thick of the NFC playoff picture. They've won 3 games in a row, 4 of their last 5, and they look primed to make a run to the playoffs this year. But it's never too early to look ahead to who the Niners might take in the NFL draft in April. It is mock draft season all season long. And the Athletic, Dane Brugler, put together a recent mock draft, and they have the 49ers selecting a defensive lineman, edge rusher, interior defensive lineman out of Houston with their second-round pick. They do not have a first-round pick. They traded that away for Trey Lance. That guy's name, Logan Hall, out of Houston, playing in the American Athletic Conference. As for what Dane Brugler had to say about him in his scouting report of Hall, a defensive lineman with inside-outside versatility. Hall needs to improve his hand exchange, but he is alert, nimble, and the motor is always revving. Guys with versatility like this and this size of 6'6", 260 pounds are kind of the prototypes that San Francisco as an organization has prioritized over time. Solomon Thomas being one of them. I know it didn't work out. Eric Armstead being another. They traded for Charles Omenihu at the NFL trade deadline. It's really, really valuable to have defensive linemen who can play outside on the edge and then slide inside on the interior. I just don't really like this mock draft selection of Logan Hall because, as we're about to show you, the production at Houston hasn't really been there. I'm all for betting on a player who has the physical intangibles and upside, but how about later in the draft? The Niners cannot afford to whiff on another premier draft asset. Logan Hall throughout these are his career stats, by the way, not just 2021. 93 tackles, 6 sacks, 1 fumble forced, and 1 pass breakup. I understand being really intrigued by that size of 6'6", 240, 260 pounds, depending on the defensive lineman prospects that you look at. I would rather San Francisco address the secondary with their second-round pick because I do think you can get better value there. It's more of a position of need, and I think in this draft class, it could have a deeper onslaught of players in terms of the depth of the position at cornerback as compared to defensive line. So I say all of that, and I ask you this. Which position do you want the 49ers to target in this year's draft? Just give me the position names in the comment section right now. Also, did you catch our watch party last Sunday for that awesome, epic, really exciting and back-and-forth matchup between the Vikings and the 49ers? We had almost 50,000 people join us all throughout the day. Type 1 for, yeah, I join you. Type O for no, but you got to subscribe and join us because it got litty. We're going to be doing another one for the Seahawks game. It is my goal to get more than 50,000 views this week for Seahawks rivalry game, surpassing last week's viewer total. So make sure you subscribe and join us. We'll be going live 15 minutes before kickoff, 4:10 p.m. Eastern, 1:10 p.m. Pacific. Last up on the show docket today, Trent Williams went on the Adam Schefter podcast and got really bluntly honest with his career trajectory, how he's playing right now, most importantly, though, his cancer diagnosis a couple years ago, and him being honest about, shoot, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I thought I could die because of what the doctors had told me. Trent Williams, who is the highest graded player according to Pro Football Focus on both sides of the ball this year, saying this to Adam Schefter about that aforementioned cancer battle. I took a lot of stuff for granted, just life in general. Just being an NFL athlete in the last 15 years of life have been kind of scheduled, documented, basically pampered, so to speak. Just keeping it honest, just being an athlete, especially while you're in it, there's not a ton of struggles that you encounter. The doctors told me to get my affairs in order. They told me to get close to my kid. They told me to just kind of get closer to the things that matter most. Pretty incredible story for Trent Williams. I mean, coming out of college, he goes to the Washington football team. He really solidifies himself as one of the best left tackles in the sport. Then he was away from the team because he didn't want to play for Washington any longer. Who would want to play for a franchise like that or work for any business that's dysfunctional and treats their employees like shit? So he decides to hold out from playing for Washington. Then while he's away, it becomes confirmed that he had cancer. Which is crazy. And now Trent Williams gets traded to the Niners. He's one of the best overall players in football, having one of the most dominant seasons that we've seen among any left tackle. Last year during NFL free agency, got paid as the highest left tackle in the history of football, and he has certainly lived up to that price tag. Honestly, guys, F cancer, man. Cancer is something that affects so many people out there. It affected me back in 2018 when I lost my mom to this awful disease that we still can't find a cure for. It almost took Trent Williams from us, and it has impacted and taken far too many people from us who we greatly care about. So I'm glad that Trent Williams was able to overcome this. I'm glad that it didn't severely impact him, because I know, speaking for myself and speaking for so many people out there who have either lost somebody close to them because of cancer, or know somebody, or just in general know somebody who had to go through the onslaught of fighting cancer, it just absolutely fucking sucks. So show Trent Williams some love for the way that he's playing, the adversity he's had to deal with, and him overcoming cancer to really become a great guy in the locker room and a great player on the field, especially a great family man as well. Just hit that thumbs up icon to show Trent some love, as well as everybody else who's had to deal with cancer.